Hey Forex Fortune Hunters, it's Tom Wilmot. If this is your first time on our channel, I hope the information that we provide is helpful to your trading in currencies. And in this particular video, for those of you who are old pros at the FX Fortune Hunter channel, I'm going to show you a template that we use and which was introduced in our book Forex Power Surge several years ago that's available still on Kindle. And this template called Blaster uses our very, very basic multiple moving averages plus the trend magic to give you an incredibly high probability of success whenever you enter a trade. If that's of interest to you, we're going to show you all the detailed steps in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So hold on to your hat and we'll be right back. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. First of all, in the Metatrader programming language, it's possible to create your own indicators as well as to take stock indicators that are available by default from your broker. And we've added a few things over the years, and just as a quick reminder for all of you, if you go down to the description below this video, we'll send you a link to our website, and on that website you can have access to a Dropbox file that I've set up with all of the indicators available to you. These are free of charge, and if you have any questions about them or comments, you can leave those in the video below as well, or you can send me an email. In any event, let's start out right now with our Blaster template. This is the US JPY 30-minute chart, and this goes back to the 4th of July, which was last week. I'm recording this the following week on Wednesday, the 13th of July, 2022. Today was the day when the very hot inflation report was released in the States, and we hit 9.1% inflation month over month or year over year, something of that sort. In any case, it's expensive to buy things now. But in any event, the template breaks down into a few very basic indicators. Right here you can see that we have on the wall our multiple moving averages. I believe I started here, let's see, with a, let's say, 25 moving average, and I took that up 30, 35, and then 40 in the purplish color, the violet color here. And those can be included in your template simply by going of course, to insert indicators, moving average, and sometimes the moving average is down under trend as well if you need to use it. So then you can add those in, or if you right click on your chart later, you can come to indicator list, and I'll move that over from the other monitor. You can see here that we have our magnified market price, which is this number right here, which tells you the current bid. Obviously, it's off the screen to the right today. Session times, which I'll get into later. Crossing indicator, Wilmot Mass Cross, and I'll show you how that works. And I've actually put it in twice here because I wanted to be very sensitive to two crossovers in our template. And then down here, Trend Magic, which is that indicator that was released by the Metatrader people many years ago. And then in addition to that down below, I have a relative strength index, of course, and I always use a 45-55 band here. When you're down in this area, that's a pretty good time to think about trading. And then obviously as it breaks out through the 55, that'll give you a nice move to the upside. Here was a pull back into the bands right at the close of a day, and so forth. Here's some chop. You can see how that chop exists there. Then we pulled down, and you can see pulled back to the 45 and then fell apart again. Notice down here we have our MACD, and that's a new version that I put together with histograms based on a 12 and 24 crossover kinds of component. And so now what we have are histogram bars that show when we're in an up move and when we've either peaked or we're pulling backwards. Okay, so some of the basics. Now the trend magic really turns from white to red, and so the key issues here would be We want to be above the white line. That's a bullish signal. When we're below the red line, that's a bearish signal. And we'll show this in 2 different time frames as well during the course of this video. Now, basically, the situation is that we have here is our crossover, one of our crossover indicators, and here's the other. This happens to be a shorter term one. This is our longer term switchover, and you can see that the bands here, that 25 to 40, has turned over and moved to the upside. That's a bullish signal. Over here, the red medallion you can see suggests that we're going to be headed for trouble, and sure enough, there we go. Now, the white and the kind of bluish tint here, the azure color, is an indicator that's faster. And I'm going to go and show you that one now. I'm not sure which is which exactly. Let's see what we put in. I think I put it in last. Edit. This one here, we'll bring it over. No, in fact, this is the indicator, the input, which was the 25 and 35, and or 25 and 40, whichever one. So we'll get rid of that for the time being, and we'll go to the top one. We'll pull that up, and that's a 6 and a 12. And that isn't absolutely necessary. Really, what's really important for you here is this yellow versus the red. I'll back up a little bit more here or go forward and show you. This is the red downturn. Those are the major 25 to 40 moving averages. This is simply an interim signal that shows maybe you've got some trouble on the horizon. If you're in a downtrend and you see this up medallion, you know you've had a 12 and 6 crossover, so maybe that's a warning sign. And you can see the continuation here. We pop right out of the 55 band, and in fact we have a crossover of the MACD. So on your template, this one might not be as important, but you can tell when you're in a downtrend and when you're in an uptrend on a shorter kind of a time frame. Now, the basic rules of engagement here are as follows. I would say that the first rule is you would like to have your multiple moving averages for a short trade moving to the downside. Now, the bottom line is you see the red medallion, you know you've had your crossover. What typically happens next is we get a pullback right after that. This is right back up into the bands, but you can see that we maintain our red trend magic line and we do not cross over it. And in fact, if we were to make this a little bigger so you can see it even more clearly, you can see that we've had this quick kind of an upturn into the neutral zone here. We've had a pullback on our histogram bars, and yet we've had a rejection. Here's our rejection. Now, the good news about this on a 30-minute chart, let's talk about this a bit. We have a potential, if we take this rejection, all the way down here for 73 pips. It's probably too hard to read that on the YouTube video, but it's a move downward of almost 70 pips. And you can see that our basic upside risk factor is minimal. What we have here, if we were to enter here, we would be in for 17, not even 20 pips in terms of and you want to see a close above this line. This is just a test. This is a retest of that recent high and that rejection, and now we're off to the races. And you can, if you'd like to, in terms of your rules, wait for a breakdown here below the line if you'd like. You're still going to get down here into this zone with 60 pips. The bottom line is that you probably at that point would want to put your stop loss after that breakdown below the line just in this area, not even waiting to test this. You don't want to have a complete reversal and a close above this bar or this candle if that's the case. Now let's take a look at the other side. This is the US JPY. Now notice that there was just a minimum amount of downturn for a couple days early in July for the US dollar, which has been incredibly strong. Let's see what happens here. Here we are on the 4th of July, holiday in the States, obviously, but even then there was some minimum activity, and we had a move here of some 41 pips, and then just flattening out during the late US session when everyone was on vacation. But it's the same rules again. We have our upside twist of the 25 to 40 bars. moving averages rather. We have a white line for trend magic. We do not break down below it. We can't break down below the 45. We are above the zero line on the MACD, and you can see we have that pullback again right after the twist up of our major moving average lines. This pullback suggests that we're getting ready for a trade entry. Now, sometimes you get some trickery here. You get an upward move. You can wait for a white bar, white candle if you'd like to, and that could continue to see where you're headed with this move. But this was a day when there wasn't much volume, and obviously in the U.S. session, not much activity, especially after the morning session was over. And so this is the kind of place where you don't necessarily need to be completely conservative waiting for the white move upwards. However, you could use that as your strategy as well. Now let's get over here, see what happened on the 5th of July. You can see here we had a pullback below the trend magic. We had a reversal. This is a great signal. It's what I call rejection. We went down into the bands, were immediately rejected by the buyers coming into the market. We stayed above this level, and so an entry in any of these areas, even early in the session on the 5th, gives you a move of 66 pips to the north on the US JPY. Now, I'm going to move over to here. Obviously, today is something you've got to be careful of. We're in a situation on this particular day when we had that very hot inflation report here, and you can see down below, I think, if I move my candle here, check out this line that's blank right now, but when I move my candle here, that's 1530. This was the big move up at 1530. This is the 8:30 U.S. time release of the data, and then a reversal back down. So just some gyrations today. And so you would really have to move down to a lower time frame chart. Let's see if I can show you how to do that. We get over here, and let's just click on this to move ourselves way over. And we'll put the 5-minute consideration in. Now it's recalculating. And in fact, here is our move. Basically, I can tell you also about our session times. Here we are on the 13th, which is Wednesday, with a 5-minute configuration. We had a nice move up here. Notice again, even on the 5-minute chart, move to the north with a rollover of our moving averages. We're above this level here. We come up. We have our nice pullback down to the moving average area, and also hold above the trend magic. And notice that even in this area early in the session, we had a move of some 31 pips, which is not a bad day's work. We move here. This is the 9 o'clock hour for me on my Forex.com, which means this is about 2 o'clock in the morning East Coast US, and about 7 or 8 o'clock in London. This is the London Open here, but I can sense that activity is going to continue. Notice this time, even though we pulled back above it, we ended up going into chop as we were waiting for this report. Notice here, absolutely no activity in the early morning session, and so this was the time, and probably wouldn't trade this at all based upon this huge move in 5 minutes, then a pullback. You could conceivably take this move here on a 5-minute chart in the 9:30 hour when the stock market opens. This is good for 37 pips. And so if you're playing along with a 5-minute chart, you want to limit your expectation for the move to the north. So let's quickly review. We want our moving averages to be pointing north for a positive long trade. We want that rollover to have occurred. We want to wait patiently for a pullback into the bands. We want to try to get down into this level before we enter. We want to see maybe if there's a pullback with our red histogram bars. And we also would be looking for, let's see, there's our white medallion indicating that our shorter term moving averages are heading higher. Now, once again, if you like this material, please give us a thumbs up. Don't be stingy. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like further information. And we also do videos about Fidelity Active Trader Pro and try to map some of these indicators over into the equity markets. It's worked quite effectively, although they're not as good a number of indicators over on Active Trader Pro as there are here for Metatrader. We're missing Trend Magic, for example, but we do have multiple moving averages as well as our RSI and MACD. So check out our channel, check out all those videos, and please feel free to link to our website and look for that invitation to the Dropbox site so that you can get your free indicators. I will update it with this blaster template in the next 24 hours. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.